Welcome to Poetry with Shing, where we uncover the beauty behind poetry. In today's episode, we'll be looking at One Art by Elizabeth Bishop and Time Does Not Bring Relief, Y'all Have Light by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Our question for today would be over here. Write a critical comparison of the following poems, paying close attention to ways in which language, style, and form contribute to each poet's portrayal of loss. Because this poem is a poetry comparison, I will not be reading out both poems, and they can be seen on the screen. Today we'll be analyzing both poems by looking through how you could possibly structure a possible essay in answering such a question, and also unpacking what each poem speaks about loss. Alright, so without further ado, let's begin. Both One Art by Elizabeth Bishop and Time Does Not Bring Relief, Y'all Have Light by Edna St. Vincent Millay present loss as inevitable. In poem A, both the tangible and intangible are lost by the speaker, while in poem B, only the tangible has been lost by the speaker. Despite knowing the inevitability of loss, the speakers of both poems struggle through a process of coping with loss. In poem A, the speaker attempts to trivialize loss to escape the true, harsh impact of it, while poem B intensifies the speaker's experience of loss. Poem A portrays loss as an uncontrollable act, while poem B portrays loss as an inevitable emotion. In poem A, the line, "then practice losing," suggests that losing is a skill. The idea of the art of losing, and then practice losing further. And a tangible, this losing is a skill, and it's also a tangible act that individuals can practice to get better at. The speaker lists down what she has lost, like her mother's watch, 2 cities, lovely ones, and as she lists, the things that she has lost grows in intensity and magnitude. As you can see here, watch, houses, cities, even a continent. And the nature of the belongings she lost evolves from trivial daily necessities to the memories of places, cultures, and even identity, as she loses some realm she owned, 2 rivers, a continent. Thus, in poem A, the things that the speaker loses are both tangible, like lost door keys, and intangible, the memory of the joking voice, a gesture of her loved one. Here, whom she has lost. Besides that, the inevitability of loss is apparent in the line, "so many things seem filled with the intent to be lost," indicating that there is a lack of control and choice on the speaker's part, as things are meant to be lost. So that line would be, "so many things seem filled with the intent to be lost." So there's a lack of agency on the speaker's part. Furthermore, the word choice "accept" in "accept the fluster" shows that loss is inevitable, and individuals have to cope with it and be resigned to it. This is because when you accept something, you're more or less quite resigned to the fate. And the idea of "accept the fluster" is here. On the other hand, poem B portrays loss as an emotion. So One Art would be poem A, and Edna St. Vincent Millay's poem would be poem B. So poem B portrays loss as an emotion, as time does not bring relief to the speaker's loss, and the bitter loving of her loved one must remain heaped on her heart, suggesting that she suffers the intangible burden of loss of her loved one without choice, as it must remain in her heart. In addition, loss is experienced by the speaker in a mixture of feelings, from fear to missing someone, and then wanting the loved one to return, highlighting the intense and complex feelings of loss. However, despite the inevitability of loss, the speakers of both poems struggle to come to terms with it and adopt differing methods to cope with this loss. So the idea about fear and missing would be how I fear here, and missing the person. So all this shows that a loss is an emotion, and it's rather inevitable. Next, in poem A, the speaker trivializes loss to escape the reality of it. This is seen through the change in tone throughout the poem. In the first few stanzas, the speaker adopts an indifferent tone to her loss. So this indifferent tone, because loss is no disaster. Furthermore, Her indifference is further shown in the line, lose something every day, which hints at a conversational ease and thus shows the speaker does not place much emphasis on her loss and her pain. So it's things like every day, it's a very daily occurrence, it's very common. The tone then shifts to be more intense and serious as she lists the things she has lost, which gradually increase in magnitude and significance. The nonchalance and indifference of the speaker contradicts the uncertainty she feels about loss towards the end of the poem, which is shown through diction of the words not to and may. In the lines, it's evident the art of losing's not too and not too hard to master, though it may look like disaster. So the idea of may, and then it's not too hard. So this idea of uncertainty. Although a strong front is put up by the speaker at the start of the poem, vulnerability is seen as the speaker admits indirectly in the last stanza that losing something that she really cares for is difficult to accept, unlike previously established. The conflicted feelings in the speaker about loss is further shown at the end of the poem, where the speaker takes on a more resigned tone. The phrase even losing you, this idea, shows that the speaker loss of anything, including the most important person in her life, is trivial. However, throughout the poem, the speaker is merely attempting to trivialize loss, to soften the harsh reality of the loss of her loved one. And there is urgent repressing of feelings of loss. So there's the idea of a repression and you're trivializing something. Covered up with a false sense of indifference. The rigidity of the poem, with the first five stanzas taking the form of five tercets with an ABA rhyme pattern, parallels the strict and harsh way the speaker wills herself to think about loss in order to repress the grieving feelings within her. This rigidity is broken by the break in pattern in the poem, with the last stanza being a quatrain with an ABAA rhymes pattern. This signals the acceptance of reality by the speaker and symbolizes that contrary to the previous lines, where the speaker is indifferent about loss, loss is actually something that cannot be so easily accepted after all. Furthermore, the half rhyme in gesture and disaster over here hints at the final resignation of the speaker to confront reality, despite her continuous struggle previously to trivialize it, which is an attempt to escape reality in a form of denial. The use of the pronoun you, which is in the second person point of view, draws the reader closer to the speaker and indicates that the speaker still feels a connection to her loved one, despite having lost him or her. This shows that the loss of her loved one left a lasting impact on her, greatly contradicting her trivialization of loss, and highlights the denial she undergoes when coping with the loss. So this idea of you was what I just addressed. In contrast, the speaker in Poem B intensifies the feeling of loss to confront the memories of the loved one. Poem B is written in a dramatic tone, with vivid imagery. The speaker accuses the reader of lying that time relieves the pain of loss in the title, which immediately starting on the poem on a defiant note, and more accusatory note, because the poet says you all have lied. The grieving feeling of loss is dramatized as the vivid imagery of water is used, as evident in the lines I miss him in the weeping of the rain, I want him at the shrinking of the tide. The poet uses images of nature and the phenomenon of rain over here to bring out the mourning and greatly unhappy feelings of the speaker. The weeping of the rain symbolizes nature crying alongside the speaker's mourning for the loved one, and the shrinking of the tide highlights the vulnerability of the speaker as she shrinks, like how the tide recedes. As the natural scenery changes, marked by last year's leaves becoming smoke in every lane, suggesting that the leaves are no longer there, the speaker insists on remembering the memories that her loved one created with her. So the idea of leaving it, ensuring that there's still a trace of such memories in her. And although the leaves are no longer there in person and physically, but she still remembers the idea of the smoke there, which parallels with her own memories of her loved one. Alright, so the speaker feels pain in recalling the memories of them together, as there are 100 places where This person fears, the speaker fears to go. So with his memory debris, showing that unlike poem A, where the speaker desperately tries to forget the memories of her loved one to cope with the loss, poem B hangs on to the memories as the only fragments of the loved one that is left. The speaker is constantly reminded of the loved one, and even in a place when he never stepped foot on before, the speaker stands stricken, so remembering him. So this idea of memory, but yet you must realize that because this speaker is stricken, it is not something that the speaker actually wants to remember the person because it pains her to remember. Furthermore, the free verse form of poem B shows the fluidity and natural, genuine grieving feelings of the speaker, where she does not repress reality, unlike in poem A. Both poems seek to deal with loss through different coping mechanisms, with poem A seeking to trivialize loss to escape the reality of it, while poem B intensifies the feelings of loss to gather memories of what has been lost, and longs for the memories to happen again. At the same time, the coping methods in both poems bring pain, denial, and grief to the speakers, yet they continue to do so. Ultimately, loss is a necessary part of the human condition. However, the complexities that arise amongst individuals experiencing loss show that despite its inevitability, individuals struggle to understand and come to terms with loss. That's it for today's episode. Thank you and goodbye.